honest. I've been warming up, so approach with caution. Yeah, of the heat, no cold feet, I'm locked in. Go against me, you might need a coffin. Where's the competition? Cause I don't see none. Matter of fact, there'll be none, so y'all can run the rerun. Show you how to work, I roll the sleeves up on my shirt. Built it from the ground, I had to rise from out the dirt.
Watch this, I'ma show you how I do it. Like a pro, gotta hustle, get through it. No sweat, look good when I'm moving. I'm a ride.
About actually public services as a whole, and there is interface with things that we said about subsidiarity, making best use of public spend, driving mission drives. So, you know, whatever missions you set, the public sector has a key role in that. What I would like to say at the moment and get across is the way we're doing this in Scotland is totally wrong, right? And it also actually is very like what's happening in England. It all comes back to the public. We keep talking about public sector reform. It's all driven by the Blairite agenda of public sector reform, which a lot of it was about outsourcing targets, outcomes. It led to increased management. It was the solution of everything. Now, I come to this as a social worker. I got fed up with the system, so I became a manager, thinking I could change it. I went up the greasy pole all the time, thinking I could change things, and just got caught up in actually making budgets work. We were all managers who just converted into budget holders, right? And in the end, I got out, right? I thought that was all the way. I became an environmental campaigner, actually, and then I came back, right, in COVID, because what I saw was just like a disaster, and I've been involved in the Commonwealth Care Reform Group ever since. So I come to this, there's a sort of personal angle to this. Now, what I just want to say is that the Care Reform Group, the thing that we've produced a paper on childcare, which is a very, you know, everything you've said, I endorse, but we've also said we've produced a vision for a national care service, caring for all. I just want to start with that because it's some fundamental themes from that which I think should apply to all public services. And I would just, I've been asked to just reinforce we desperately need a national care service in Scotland, right? But I'm not going to talk about that at the moment. And unfortunately, that's all sunk at the moment, but it shouldn't be lost sight of in terms of next election manifestos. So, in terms of caring for all, one of the things that we said is basically relationships are absolutely fundamental. And Ashley's talked about that, but this is not just about children, it's about how we grow up, right? Those social relationships, seeing people as part of systems is completely different to, if you like, consumerist units in neoliberalism, right? So we actually have to, relationships are key. They're key to how we get on, how we do the best things about life, and they go from the really big, right, really important children, what happens to childcare, obviously, to the small. It's about how you relate to the person in the counter behind the shop. It's the glue that holds society together, right? Now, in terms of services, obviously services, a lot of public services are there to help people, and I just want to highlight, just take two examples from social care, and then take it more widely. Some of you may have seen the film, Ken Loach's brilliant film, Sorry I Missed You.
You name it, I've done it. Concreting, plumbing.
Is that you two?
I've done it all.
So why'd you give it up?
He's just gone from job to job.
There's always someone on your back, isn't there?
Come on, we've got time to make up, let's go.
I'd rather work on my own now and be my own boss.
Let's just get a few things straight at the start, though, shall we?
Hi, Rosie.
Wake up. Dad will go mental if you miss school again.
No, if you don't move, then you're going to get a ticket.
Oh, Rosie.
You're finna be a laugh.
You don't work for us, you work with us.
0 hour contract, I get paid for the visits.
Keep this happy.
Get it.
Ah,
yes! They track every parcel, don't they? To the front door and the back door. Even if you put one in the garden shed, they know where it lands. Fucking hell! There's a dog round there with massive teeth. I think it stuck a chunk out of my ass.
This decides who lives and who dies.
You were snoring.
It wasn't me, it was your mum. Say it's for Mr. Campbell.
Robert, not. Keeps on parking in my parking space.
They don't get paid till they get delivered.
It's my night with my family. It's a no, I'm not doing it.
I'm just having some problems with my teenage son. Have you been on the train tracks and the roofs?
This is 2 days in a row.
Just knuckle down.
This is another £100 fine and a sanction.
Otherwise, you're just going to end up like... Well,
thank you.
I never thought it'd be this difficult.
I just want things to go back to normal.
You do more for me than you'll ever know.
You've got the best thing in life here. You've got a family that care about you.
How does your company get away with this? This is my family.
Thanks for the great day.
And I'm telling you now, nobody messes with my family.
Master of your own destiny, Ricky. You up for that?
Yeah. This is where it's at. Vindaloo. Got to be hard to take this stuff, do you know what I mean, son?
All right, then.
Luckily now.
And in that, the woman in that is trying to hold her family together as a home carer, and she tries to go and see that help this elderly person. She's on terrible wages and so on, and she has to leave because she hasn't got time to do the task. She's promised to do this woman's hair, and then she comes back in the evening, right, well, her family's imploding, and cares for this person. And what I would say is, in Scotland, we got very proud of free personal care. Free personal care is a disaster, right? It is converting care into a series of tasks of wiping bottoms. That is not care, right? We actually need to think about the important thing about care is the relationship bit. And the second example I would just like to give about this, and this is the best piece of social work I ever know about, right, was a young person who was in care. All of these things happened there. Had a social worker, decided to emigrate, I think it was to Canada, went there and their life imploded. And their former social worker flew over to Canada, their own bat, right, brought this person back to Scotland, right, and actually got their life going together again. Now, they broke all the rules, right? Every single rule about that. You're not meant to do any of those things, right? They're going to be because it's like, it's dangerous, it's risky or whatever. Relationships save people. Caring relationships save people. We really need to hold on to that. Relationships go wrong, they're very tricky, right? In terms of public services, they require a lot of skills. So just to move on to other things, I mean, I always think my partner's a teacher, and I just admire her so much. I'm as a social worker. Dealing with people one-to-one or families is one thing. Dealing with a class of 25, 10-year-olds, have a good relationship with them, but actually it's what makes teaching work. It makes what is down the housing office work. You can extend this to all services. It actually probably makes a difference between what's a good police force and a bad police force. You know, people want police officers they can relate to on the street, not somewhere else. So what we've done is instead of putting relationships, we need to be thinking about relationship-based services. What have we done? We've created call centres, it's impossible to get to see anybody, we put defensive systems in place, right? And it has just stopped relationship-based care. And we wonder why it's going wrong. And I would just say here, I think it's really important for people to appreciate what's brilliant at the moment that's happening within the GP movement across the UK. There is now a big push for what they call continuity of care. And what they're saying is that they want to keep, right, instead of having all these algorithms sorting who people go to, just go and see your GP, right? And the GP sees somebody, they know somebody, they can actually deal with it. In many ways it's more efficient because actually they know somebody and they're saying the same person the whole time, they know what the issues are, they can see if the person looks sicker or whatever, and then they can respond. Whereas all these management systems have been a disaster. So that brings me, so I'm probably onto the second, and it's a very related issue. It's about how we, within public services, we need to devolve decisions, right, to the front line, and we also need to think about professionalism, right? Professionalism should not be a dirty word, it's a really important word. And I want to give you an example. I had an infected toe a year and a bit ago, and I knew I had an infected toe, so I tried to, was up in the Highlands, couldn't get to see a doctor, came back to Glasgow, tried the out-of-hours service. Now, you all know what it's like, right? So you spend 40 minutes on the phone trying to get somebody on NHS 24. You then talk to, who then has to go away for 15 minutes because you discover then that they're not qualified at all, they're just the note taker, right? So they then go and talk to a qualified nurse, and the qualified nurse, you don't get to speak to them, by the way. The qualified nurse, they come back with some advice and say, oh yeah, I think you need to go to the GP out-of-hours service. It's just across, for me, I'm very lucky, it's just across Queen's Park from where I stay. So you go up into the GP out-of-hours service, and it's one, the GP comes up, we're all prepared, go in quick, take my sock off, and they, infected toe, they say, straight away. They dealt with it in 3 minutes, right? They say, you need to be on antibiotics now, and they take the biro out, draw a pen round your thumb, and they said, if that infection goes above crosses that line, you need to go to hospital. We're hoping we're going to deal with this on antibiotics. If you don't get it, right, just brilliant, right? Absolutely brilliant service. But the person then, it took the professional 3 minutes, God knows what the cost of the system was getting there, and meantime, you're pissed off because you actually know what the problem is, right? So it's all, it's an absolute disaster. And I just want to come up to another thing about this. It doesn't just need professionals to take these decisions. In terms of what we know about in care delivery, right? There's a terrible thing that's been in the news this week. Edinburgh, right, is chunking up its costs of home care. Instead of minimum 15-minute chunks, they're going to pay providers by 5 minutes on top of it, right? And they're saying this shouldn't affect care services, right? But actually, if you're a carer going in and looking, it's a really tough job, right, at the moment. People's needs vary every day. Right? I say because some days people are going to be ill, right? Other days, oh, well, they've got a relative round, they don't need you, right? So actually, the best way of organising care is to allow those people at the front line to take all the decisions about how that care is delivered, right? So they'll know, okay, they're under pressure, and some days will be busier than others, some days it may be desperate because they may need to call in outside help, but doing it in fixed chunks is absolutely hopeless because, of course, what they're doing and they're monitoring where people go on their phones and everything else is if they stay longer because a person needs more help, they won't get paid, and if they stay less long, right, they don't get paid either because the local authority is monitoring to try and see that the exact right amount of care is given, right? So we end up with this absolutely dysfunctional system, right? Because the people who are running things have not got power to do anything. It's all decided by management, right? Now, professionalism has become a dirty word. There's all sorts of, you know, in social media, all sorts of attacks on doctors and other social workers who have been under attack for 40 years and so on. And clearly, right, there are some rotten apples. Things go wrong. You know, we have doctors who've been murderers, and there's all sorts of terrible abuse cases and so on. I would say that some of the answer to that is we just need more professionalism, not less. Some of the problems that have happened there is actually because people are worried about their colleagues. You can't speak out, you can't say anything, you can't express concerns because people have been suppressed by management. So the best thing is that we can have open professional cultures. Both the Scottish government and the UK government putting their faith in IT systems. AI, you know, AI is going to sort out our public services, right? Now, would the IT help? I mean, everyone you talk to who works in public services will tell you that IT is an absolute bloody nightmare. It stops you doing your job rather than helps you, and there are reasons for that we could go into, but thinking about it, what we need to do is we need to, yeah, we could make efficiencies, we could pay for all of this, but we need to have the people who are delivering, designing the IT, not the management. So I got out of management and eventually, you know, I've become a complete rebel and just think actually everything I was trying to do for 15, 20 years was complete and utter disaster. You know, was trying my best, trying to make things better and actually was missing the wrong issues, the important issues. So the third thing I just want to say is about money, right? Money drives everything, right? So this is, it's absolutely crucial to public services. As has already talked about how money is being souped out of the system the whole time. We need to keep public money for public services, right? I ended up in a so-called commissioning job, trying to make that work. What I would have to say is contracts, all of that stuff with private services, none of it works. It's not enforceable, it's a joke, right? And actually the bigger joke is why, I've just seen this week, right, the education in Scotland's prisons has just been changed from Scotland's colleges, who've been doing a great job for years apparently in that, it's gone to a private company. And you're just thinking, how balmy is that? What does that private company know about this? All we've done is bought a cheaper service, right? And the results are going to be quite predictable. We're doing that across the public sector the whole time. So what we need to do is take that public pound and we need to bring it back in. We need to spend it on people who are committed to public services. I would say to professionalism and relationship-based care. I wanted to say a couple of other things about it. We've also, just to remind people, with the use of consultants, right, to sort things, right? Local authorities, the integrated joint board, we've got a massive funding crisis at the moment, so what's our government doing? They're bringing in consultants to sort it out, right? We actually need to have people who are situated within public services, who understand how they operate. We need to have the professionals back in charge trying to deal with things rather than managers. So I think that's my nightmare. Just a last point on this. It's not just about taking things back. There are certain sectors that are very problematic. We need capital involved, right? It is not an insuperable task. It is a vision that could be set out. We have a Scottish National Investment Bank. We did some work, right? 2 billion, maybe 1 billion if you drive the price down to take back all care homes from the private sector, right? But we're also talking about other things we need to take back, whether it's prisons or childcare facilities. But we could have a capital program of slowly bringing those things back, right? Raising money and so on could solve those problems. So these are things, right? I think it's very important for it's an opportunity to do things differently in Scotland. We need to seize, which would actually hopefully make the case for a different and better country as possible for independence. Thanks very much.
Another day in the office. I've been warming up, so approach with caution. Yeah, up the heat, no cold feet, I'm locked in. Go against me, you might need a coffin. Where's the competition? Cause I don't see none. Matter of fact, there'll be none, so y'all can run the rerun. Show you how to work, I roll the sleeves up on my shirt. Built it from the ground, I had to rise from out the dirt.
Watch this,